and we want the fans out of their seat. We want to score goals. We want to get them, momentum on our side, and then on the flip side is when we don't have the ball, is it we got to be dogs.
He's done really well. The turning around, and he could finish it. Great save. Collodi.
All right, welcome everyone to the Afterburn Soccer Show. For those of you who are joining us live here in a few moments, and for our good friends here on the show, Jose at El Chico Carmona, Chris at C Wintus, and of course,
What's up,
follow
guys?
me at Afterburn Soccer. Of course, I'm wearing my FC Dallas Open Cup shirt, but then I'm also wearing my latest Orange County Soccer Club
Part owner.
co-owner, whatever that means. But who are in the playoffs this weekend? So hey, good, I guess, for those who watch USL. But hey, we're here, we're live, we're here to break down on this Afterburn Soccer Show a very disappointing weekend for FC Dallas. Maybe not a surprising one when we think about these two teams that were on the field there in Vancouver, and performances that showed a drastic class divide, of a quality divide, a gap, so to speak, of depth and tactics and game plan and focus. It was a packed house up there for Vancouver Whitecaps, a sellout crowd. I think they set a new record in their stadium. Congrats to them. It's so awesome to see it. I mean, that club is up for sale was from where we kind of started over this last off season, and so they have just come out with a new coach and Thomas Mueller, so many good players, and they looked the part. So after FC Dallas got the result, when Vancouver had one of their defenders sent off the red card in the last match of the season, FC Dallas got a huge result, really, and even in that result, the FC Dallas was holding on for dear life. We had hoped that Dallas would go up to Vancouver and sort of pick up and be feisty and fight and claw and make life difficult for Vancouver, but it was pretty much a one-way route. And in some ways, you could say Dallas is lucky to have just a 3-0 loss instead of, it could have been a lot worse if not for some heroics. But let's just start with reactions to this match as FC Dallas lose to Vancouver 3-0. Jose, we'll start with you. What do you want to say about this brutal loss in the opening playoff match?
Just a complete take the kids out to the woodshed and show them what's what. That's basically what happened. I mean, Vancouver played like the number one seed, and FC Dallas played like a squad that just snuck into the playoffs. Yes, the class divide was there for everyone to see. And basically, I want to be upset by it, but frankly, maybe it's good that FC Dallas got taken out to the woodshed because all the flaws were there for everyone to see, and that's something they can take into the postseason and say, hey, that performance at Vancouver, even if they play better next match, just this performance alone, they should look at that and go, hey, look at all the holes. Look at how we were exploited. We need to address that in the offseason. So a little bit of being dragged down from reality after, honestly, a run that saw them, you know, be in great form and even better form than Vancouver coming in all honesty. And still, the difference being that Vancouver was that consistent throughout the season and FC Dallas was not. So I want to be upset, but I think there is something good to be said about being dragged back, kicking and screaming to reality to let this team know that, hey,
Mm, mm.
don't settle. You're this team. Don't come back next year with the same team, or you'll get the same result.
Chris, what were your thoughts?
I love Jose's sort of way of spinning a positive twist on this because I mean, in a lot of ways, this was probably one of the most frustrating games to watch. You know, I think we registered.
There were more positives, but I'm saving those for later. Go ahead.
Yeah, no,
Carry
okay,
on. Sorry.
okay, I appreciate that. You know, I think we registered one shot or no shots on goal. Like it was a pitiful performance from the offense.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't make the keeper do anything offensively, and then I think they registered 22 shots, 7 saves from Collodi. It was just a all around beatdown, and I think when you watched it, you're just like, man, these two teams are on just completely different planes of existence right now, just because Vancouver is so good. And I think truthfully coming into the game, I think we were all a little bit more optimistic about our chances, but Vancouver is one of the highest scoring teams in the league, and they also give out, I think, the third least amount of goals. So they're great on offense, great on defense. You know, on one hand, you have to be positive and be like, man, we did hold them to no goals through about 40 minutes of the game, thanks to Collodi. But on the other hand, you're like, man, it just there was no chance for us, unfortunately. So I think I'm still a little frustrated, but you know, all
No,
in all,
it's fair to be frustrated. I think it's just it's just been a remarkable season, a strange season, but ultimately a good one. I think just that we're here, you know, and I think it's I kind of reflected on Saturday. And just you know, there's reasons to be optimistic. We were in some good form going into this situation. That's where teams want to be going into the playoffs. You don't want to be losing 4 games and then kind of struggling. So Dallas had been looking better, had been looking very feisty and competitive against a lot of teams. So that's positive. But then at the same time, there's part of you just like we probably shouldn't have been here with the inconsistencies across the season, the changes in personnel, the missing pieces, So it's just I think we enjoy it, but still that kind of performance is not very enjoyable. you know if it had been, this hard fought 1-0 loss and Dallas just, held on for dear life, you could say, hey, but there weren't many answers from the Dallas side of things. And so that's data for Quill and the team to look at and to say, how can they adjust things? They should be more comfortable at home, and a little more confident at home. But gosh, if Vancouver has no reason now not to come out and just do the same game plan in Frisco, and so it could be a really tough night in front of the home crowd for Dallas. So we'll see. But
I don't think it will
no,
be. I don't.
yeah,
Think...
yeah, no way to go but up from that performance. I mean, there really, you know,
Yes, yes. I just want to add that that performance from Mr. Dallas was, besides the fact they were getting outplayed, it also was pretty flat. I mean, you have to wonder if the team was just satisfied to meet their goals and get into the playoffs because they played like a team that was. I'm sorry, but they lacked any of the passion or fire that we saw in their run to make the playoffs. So you have to wonder if there was a letdown after having achieved, after getting past, be defeating Vancouver in Vancouver for the first time. I don't know if it's ever or forever. It You have to wonder if the team basically came out flat. Like, hey, we did it. Okay, we're done. We made it this far. That's how it felt. I'm not saying that is how it was. A combination of that and a combination of Vancouver simply being better. I'm not saying that they weren't going to lose 3-0 or anything like that. I'm just saying it just felt like they knew they were outclassed and they played like it. They really played like they were outclassed and they were just holding on for dear life. Like I don't know, a lower mid-table squad in Europe taking on the front runners, and that's how they played. They played like a team that was basically, hey, we're going to bunker, and if maybe we get lucky and somebody breaks out and scores, because that's pretty much how they played. It was harsh to watch.
Real quick, here's Eric Quill. This is like all of 15 seconds. I mean, there wasn't a lot to say after the match, but here's what he said.
They were obviously very motivated, and from what happened last week, and I mean, they beat us, and we've got to bounce back, and we've got to be better. We can't this, but that was we got humbled.
We got humbled. I mean, there wasn't. This was the one question I had was actually asked by another reporter there in Vancouver, and so it was kind of like, there's not much. This is a game where you can't break down the tactics, and they just got beat, and they've got to come out with a different mentality and focus. But shifting to the positives, I mean, there are at least a couple of positives. And Chris, you'd start with Collodi, right?
Yeah, 100%. He looked astounding. I think that was a positive sign for us. Again, kind of puts us in a weird position because you do have Martin Poss in there, and then you have Jacob Jackson behind him, and it's like we have three awesome goalkeepers. It's nice to see Collodi at a great run of form. Obviously, just wish we had a little bit more firepower, maybe is the word, defensively, yeah, in front of him to kind of save him a little bit rather than having to make 7 tremendous saves during the game. But yeah, I mean, super positive performance from him, and that was obviously enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, some really clutch saves that were just really kept Dallas in it, and some really, they go back and watch those, were just like in the moment. I'm like, oh, here comes the opening goal, and somehow he sticks out his hand as the ball's bouncing up. He just finds something. He gets down, he gets up, and a bit of luck, a bit of a bounce here and there. But what a performance for him. Certainly nothing for him to be ashamed about from that performance. I thought Osaze as well had some positive moments. He's a leader. He's a presence. He likes to get in guys' faces. He had some really nice saves in the first half, but of course I think he did give up a penalty kick in the second half. So uneven, but it's not like the team around him were really giving him. He was doing a lot of emergency defending, but another sign that, hey, we like him. He's a good piece here. Other than that, I mean,
imagine if we had 2 of him.
Yeah,
right.
You have a brother somewhere, but you mentioned Solly and Solly, which is just a sign. Like, Vancouver was turning to some quality players off the bench, and we were turning to Inisali, who's not exactly, was away on loan for half the year, hasn't had a ton of minutes. Pedrinho, and like, I love Pedrinho. I think he has some talent there, and has some room to grow, but like, it's a lot to ask him to come up in such a big moment. And Solly was at least hustling. I think that was, Jose, was one of your points watching the game. He came on and he's like,
yeah, I was like, yeah, I mean, come on, he didn't do anything, but at least he was hustling. He was one of the few guys, and maybe that's why they threw him out there. They're like, hey, this guy's really animated on the bench. Let's throw him on the pitch and see if he does anything. And honestly, that's what I was joking about. I was like, hey, at least he was showing some fight, because really that was lacking. Collodi showed it. I thought Urogita showed it. But man, everybody else was so busy, just scrapping to try to prevent getting overrun, And did Kamungo complete any forward passes? I mean, my goodness, it seemed that any attack that started at his feet ended at his feet. Just outclassed in a lot of positions, and yeah, I mean, we can say a lot of bad things about Salih, but the question we should be asking is, why was he in there? Why wasn't some other players, certainly other recent signee that Salih got ahead of, and he got in ahead of Paxton Pomykal. Who, I mean, that's the biggest shocker right there. I would have thought they would have brought Paxton in. Paxton can give you everything that Salih can give you, and then some. But you didn't bring him in Paxton in. So I'm just saying that's what's confusing to me. Is you had other options. It's very curious that you brought him in.
Good. I mean, it's a good point. We needed midfield help to at least stabilize things, and yeah, Paxton didn't make. But yeah, the other new signing, Dietzen, not even on the game day roster, and he scored again. His national team. So it's like, what's going on with that? I mean, so just it, and who knows? Maybe he picked up a knock,
I
an
I
international
want
boot.
to give you guys another positive from this game, and since I know you guys are thinking this view, but not just this game, but this game and last week's game, and that is the fact that we got to see a lot of young players get minutes. I mean, 2 weeks ago, here, I mean, this team needs a win. They're up 2-1. They're holding on for dear life, and you know, uh, you got players coming in that should be on North Texas. In all honesty, Garcia came in. Of course, you had Sarver was already playing. You had the good looking kid at left back. He came in. Torquato. Um, I mean, these are kids that we were talking to more than 2 weeks ago. How we would be upset if the Hunts prioritized North Texas, and that didn't happen. They prioritized FC Dallas, and as a result, players that probably even Salih and Pedrinho, those are guys that could have been sent down to North Texas to help them in their playoff push, and that wasn't done. Instead, opting to play a lot of teenagers in the playoffs for North Texas, which I applaud. That's what this team should be doing. Uh, Last year, sure, the year before, North Texas won the title, but they sent a lot of senior players. So to see them reverse that, prioritize FC Dallas, that's my big. I think where I'm very happy, even though we got smoked 3-0. I'm happy that the team has shown their commitment to play the Utes, even in such a tough against such a tough opponent like this. I think that'll pay off in the future, and I'm very happy that they did that.
Well, they've got a few days to regroup and put on a performance at home in the second leg, or otherwise it will conclude a bit early. It's going to be a tough one, but hey, I'll be in front of the fans. The team has nowhere to go but up from this brutal result, and we'll see what unfolds. We'll come back to predictions
Yeah,
at the end, but let's go ahead, since Jose and Chris, you weren't able to jump on last week. It was just Colin and myself. One of the things that North Third Degree talked about North Texas. That were my words. Shared a post this week on social media that they've had some sources just mention that as North Texas is doing its postseason roster changes, that they have let go of a lot of players, a lot of guys that we saw this year, some more than others. And after that North Texas disappointing loss to the Town last weekend in their playoff appearance this year, which was again good that they made the playoffs, but not a good performance from them. Not what we had hoped for to see, but they were missing Sam Sarver, and that hurt. That hurt. And so, gosh, according to rumors, all the second team guys that had options that were declined. Essel was the only one who I think they wanted to pick up, but he declined it. So promising midfielder there. I think probably the best of the bunch of these guys, because other ones, maybe JT Harms. I think he grew over the course of the season, but probably make room for that younger goalkeeper if you don't see Harms having a long-term slot with the team. So let's just talk about this. Talk about Chris. We'll start with you. Just what were your thoughts about North Texas's loss and the playoff, and these roster moves? Kind of how the team is going to look going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone can kind of say as a fan, you're disappointed with the loss. But looking at the way the season kind of played out with all the changes, realistically, I think you went in it with no expectations. So you kind of have to be content with where you're at. I think the changes are pretty indicative of how the season went, because you have a lot of guys who are getting up a little bit there in age. Kind of what you were mentioning with JT Harms. I thought he showed a lot of progression over the season, but the issue is he's 23. You have Nico Montoya, who played similarly as a performance wise, but he's 18. So I think this is all about just kind of clearing out all of the guys that you just don't see the long term investment in, and really just kind of clearing a path for some of your younger players. Which I think there's plenty of talent for FC Dallas to be excited about for North Texas's team specifically, but like I said, as a whole, I'm sad. It was a rough ending to the season, right? Like you put Sarver up with FC Dallas, you put everyone at the first team, and then I don't know if you guys have seen, but St. Louis lost this previous weekend, huge upset in MLS Next Pro, and then I think the Town lost as well. So 1 and 2 both lose, and you think if North Texas just finds a way, maybe they can get past Colorado, or if they end up matching up against Minnesota. So I don't know. It was frustrating.
Yeah, Minnesota, a team that they've pretty much dominated at this level from day one.
Yep.
So, yeah, some of those matchups you were salivating at the potential. That's why we're all excited that their matchup. We thought they had a shot, but instead the Town came out and showed why they were as high as they were, at least in that match. And like I said, North Texas played a lot of young players, a lot of teenagers, stuff that they were criticized for not doing the year before in the playoffs. They did it this year in the playoffs. They could have repeated. They could have brought down Sarver. They could have brought down Sali, Pedrinho, Garcia. And there's a lot of players that they could have brought down to bolster that team. And so I applaud the team for not doing that and sticking to their guns. And this young players will remember this next year, and they'll be better for it. And as far as the proposed cuts, the only one that no, not really. I don't think I'm stunned by any of those. Maybe Gall for obvious reasons, but other than that, I think Gall and Harms are two players that probably could have been kept, but are not being brought back because they're basically, there's young talent, as Chris said, behind them at those positions, and they would be blocking that talent. So bravo for North Texas if this is true, for letting those guys go. And Esso, I know they were high on him, but let's face it, he probably thinks he should be playing in MLS and not at this level. This is a guy who has experience playing at the top flight over in Scotland. I mean, I'm sure his thought was come here, play in North Texas for 1 year, and then move up to FC Dallas, and that didn't happen. So I'm not surprised he would decline extension. I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up as a trialist for FC Dallas next year, or for some other MLS team, if not FC Dallas. So, yeah, I'm not stunned by any of those cuts, and I'm happy they're done.
And probably the most disappointing, of the guys were some of the strikers and that were brought in to help, to be that other option instead of Sam Sarver. I mean, I know the team was high on FC Dallas was high on Sam Sarver when they drafted him. They thought they knew they were getting a player that could contribute, and boy, did he contribute a lot. And it was a great story. But yeah, you some of those other guys, you needed some balance. You needed some other folks, and they just couldn't get injuries, and then they just didn't get going. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing that they need to look at. They need to look at Sam Seda. Did I say it right? Yeah. And just some other guys, and say, are these guys ready to step up? And then the positive thing is, you think about, and it may be what we need to wrap our heads around, is that North Texas is going to be cyclical. Like, it's going to be, you're going to have a year where you're like, we're going to compete for hardware a lot this year. And then, some guys are going to move on to the first team. Some guys are going to go elsewhere. And then you start to reload, and it's going to take another year or two to get those guys, those young players, this experience and the poise so they can come in and really compete. And so next year, I'm, excited to see. I mean, they're going to have a new stadium, but they're going to have these kids who, maybe struggled some or uneven this year, but they're going to grow. They're going to mature a little bit, and they're going to come out with more experience and a little more confidence. And and have an opportunity to do something, as well as finding the next Sam Sarver in the draft or this next potential intriguing diamond in the rough out there. Yeah, so interesting. It's there's plenty of reason to stay positive, and I think this strategy is the right one, especially when you bring in a mix of guys and some just don't work out. It happens.
One interesting note, I was just kind of looking through the roster and just kind of comparing the age of guys that were being cut, and almost every single one is at least 20. So this is clearly an age related move. They want to get rid of any guys that they just don't think long term are going to develop into first team players, and then they're going to develop everyone else that it's like 60, like you said, Sam said at 16 years old. You just have like a number of guys who are all 16, 17, 18 that a little bit higher on, I think. So
Yeah, but I think some of those guys were also, even if that wasn't the case, if age wasn't the case, their performance was underwhelming for some of these players, especially
yeah,
our back line. I mean, you go from last year from having Nico Gordon and Matt Westergen, an excellent backline pairing last season, and then this year's backline was just a disaster throughout the season. Excuse me. They would put out an occasional. They would show up occasionally, but for the majority of the season, whatever combination they tried, just huge disappointment this season compared to last year.
Yeah. And I thought like Mo Cisse was a positive kind of a draft pick. He's still young.
Hey,
Hey Luke. But yeah, like he also had that red card in that game. It's like there was something that happened at the end of the season where he just showed that there was some work to be done there, and who knows all that, but yeah, kind of tapered off a bit at the end. But I thought he, again, I think there's some, even in the guys released, there's probably still some talent there but it's just like you have to make that decision and see who to move on from and who needs to go somewhere else and continue their experience, and that's soccer. It's the sport.
Yep.
Well, moving around the league real quick before we get into some predictions for this game coming up on Saturday for FC Dallas, but two big head coach partings so there are openings around the league. I'm hearing that Tata Martino is a front runner for Atlanta United. It'll be interesting to see if he can get something out of that roster, which does not look good this season. But then Colorado Rapids parting ways with Chris Armas. I always like the term parting ways because it makes it sound a little more poetic instead of just like, we don't like you. Like we want to see other people now, whatever. We want to date
a little bit more polite.
Yeah, right. And then Sandro Schwarz and Red Bulls. So some openings that I don't think are going to impact FC Dallas, but yeah, we'll shape how we think about some competitors for FC Dallas. But any surprises in those moves or any of the things you all are hearing around the league?
not at all. I mean, you see the Rapids firing their manager. I'm surprised they waited this long to do it. You look at how that team was prior to their, sale of Mihailovic. That team was in a strong position to be a solid, fourth seed. I mean, they were competing for as high as a second seed there for a while, and then the wheels just fell off. And so you have to. I'm surprised. Like I said, I'm surprised they kept them as long as they did because the wheels fell off that team, and they went from the high confidence. You've all seen my brother-in-law Marcin come on here and be uber confident, and that all just dissipated down the stretch. And like I said, frankly, I'm surprised they didn't fire him earlier. Other than that, I'm no surprises for me.
Yeah. I was going to say kind of the same. Just kind of looking at some of the different changes that have gone through. I mean, most of the teams pretty bottom of the table. So I think it makes sense for the most part. Yeah, I don't know. It was an interesting season for some of these guys, Colorado and I think New York Red Bulls both. Like you would think that they would have finished better, but did not turn out super well for them.
Yeah, and Armas too had this little dust up with a reporter after that final match of the season that he had to come back and apologize for. So that probably didn't help either. Just a little drama. And it's interesting to see. But now, what every team now that's in those positions want is they want to go out and get that next Vancouver Whitecaps kind of hire. This guy that kind of come out of nowhere and take the pieces they have and get it better, get it in position to win. And that's all you want. But I don't know if it's that easy. I don't know if it's that easy in this league anymore. Yeah. All right, well, let's close out the show. Let's do some predictions for Saturday as Vancouver will travel it down to Frisco. It should be a good crowd, home crowd. It's playoff soccer. It's just the joy to go, and I'm seeing some great statements out there from supporter groups and stuff saying, "Hey, this is our chance to really celebrate our team and be there for our team." I think it's going to be a tough one. I think it's going to go down to PKs, and because I just think Vancouver has a formula. Even when they were down to 10 men in that final regular season match, they possessed the ball a lot. They made life difficult for FC Dallas. So it's going to be a tough one. But I'm going to go a 2-2 draw. And I think as much as I love Collodi, and he's going to do great, I think Dallas are going to go down on PKs. So that's where I am right now. I might change my mind come later this week as my optimism, rebuilds, so to speak. Jose, what do you think?
I'm going to go 2-1 FC Dallas. And before you all roll your eyes at me, I just want to point out that FC Dallas was very unfortunate to have defeated Vancouver in Vancouver to get into playoffs and then have to face them in the playoffs because it eliminated the possibility that they could sneak up on them. There was no complacency. Vancouver was fired up from having lost that match. And had they played anybody else, it probably would have been a better game simply because those teams wouldn't have been as fired up as Vancouver was in front of a record crowd and steaming from having lost 2-1 their previous game at home to FC Dallas. That's not going to be the case here now. Vancouver comes in up 3-0. They made it look easy. They're going to come in and we're going to see a little complacency sit in. And you'll see an FC Dallas squad that will be fired up. And I think I'm not saying it's going to be pretty, but I think it's going to be 2-1. I think you'll see a lot of what you saw with this past week with some emergency defending necessary to keep the game close. But the difference will be that you'll see a lot more fight in the attack this match around, and that will be the difference. It'll be 2-1 FC Dallas before we go, get our butts kicked in Game 3.
Yeah, we'll come to Luke's comment there. Chris, what were your thoughts?
Jose, I'm not going to disagree with you. I'm kind of feeling the same optimism in this game. Vancouver hasn't been as good on the road as they have been at home. I think FC Dallas, after their performance in Vancouver, is going to come out. I think they're going to be extremely fired up. I do think we see a whole different team than we did last week. I think it's a 1-0 win. I think somehow or another, I think Musa ends up scoring very early on in the game. And then I think we just completely do everything we can to just park the bus and just not allow anything. I don't think that's the right move to do, but I think it'll end up being just a way where it's a combination of, having outstanding goalkeeping performance from whoever ends up starting and then, finding a way to get a goal. So 1-0 win. I'm on the optimism train, Jose.
Oh, I love it. And our buddy Luke here is just looking at ticket availability and notice there's a lot of available seats across the sections. Hopefully those go up. Those get snatched up as the week goes on. Hopefully it will sell out. Fans, you need to get out there if you can and be a part of this because it's a treat and it's just an experience and a chance for the unexpected to happen in this league. Now, here's the other question, follow up from this. There's no way I'm second guessing Quill. I'm going with Sarver on Sunday because Sarver's just been in such form. But I think he's going to be an option off the bench on Saturday. I think and it's not that it's Sarver's fault or anything. I just think like going with Logan and Moose up top to hold up play is probably the way to go. So just curious what you guys are thinking. Is Sarver going to start again? Do you think that he's going to roll out something similar, or is he just going to go back?
I'll let Chris go first.
When I was originally thinking about this early on in the show, I think one of the benefits of going Sarver, Julio, and Musa is a completely different sort of style of game plan that I think this week it's going to be back to Farrington and Musa and the starting lineup. The Couve is probably spot on. I think Farrington comes back. I think they end up going 2 at the top. And I think it ends up benefiting us in the long run just because of the sort of chemistry that those two have and have had all season.
Yeah, Sarver, none of us would say Sarver's known for his hold-up play. I mean, he was needed to hold up, and it's just that's not his skill set, and that's okay.
I prefer to see Sarver coming off the bench, running against tired legs, because I think you saw his speed stifled in this match, but have him running at that pace in the second half, and I think you see a different outcome. And let's face it, nobody said it. I'll say it. I hope Delgado is back. He was missed, and he should be starting. It's not that Delgado is a must-start player or anything like that. This team had to make changes to facilitate him not being in the lineup, and I think that killed a lot of the momentum that the squad had. You had a consistent lineup that was getting consistent results when Delgado was in there. You took Delgado out, you made changes, you made multiple changes, and the team lost all of that. So I would love to see Delgado back. I like to see Farrington starting, and I like to see Abubakar on the bench. And I think the only real question is, do you start Ramiro over at the right wing, because he was getting torched.
That was rough.
It was rough.
Yeah, I mean, Pedrino's an option for if Delgado can go. I mean, I wish Paxton was fully fit.
I would like to see Paxton get the start. In all honesty, I mean, if he can't, this could very well be the last game of the year. Have him go out there until he can't run no more. I mean, if he can only give you 50 minutes, 45 minutes, then so be it. But I like Pedrino, but it's another player that I prefer him coming off the bench.
Yeah.
So I would rather see if Delgado's not available, I want to see Paxton. Hell, I'd rather see Leggett, one of those two guys. This midfield, Vancouver's midfield is so good that you can't just have 2 midfielders out there. You got to have 3, and they better have that veteran grip, that veteran grit out there. So if Delgado's not available, I would prefer to put a veteran out there like Leggett or Paxton.
Yeah. Well, good stuff, and appreciate all the comments, everybody. Of course, Colin, I mean, it's funny how Colin, we're going to win.
Right, I agree with it.
But there's some pessimism at the same time. That's good old Colin there.
That's the way. I agree. I can't deny that. I think he's spot on.
Well, appreciate it, guys. Appreciate Jose and Chris. Of course, you can follow afterburn.soccer. We'll have some more coverage this week, hopefully, and probably some media availability ahead of the matchup on Saturday with Eric Quill. And, of course, follow us on X, on Blue Sky, and we'll post the audio later tomorrow. But appreciate your time. Hey, another playoff match to come. We got some joy and some possibility. There's always a chance. And credit to Vancouver, but we haven't seen the last FC Dallas here. All right. Good night, everybody.
All right. Good night.